The next phrase is tread your way between. Tread your way between means to navigate carefully or cautiously between two things or situations. He had to tread his way between the two arguments without taking sides. This means he had to move carefully between two opposing views without showing favoritism. She carefully tread her way between the expectations of her family and her career goals. This means she balanced both her family's expectations and her personal career ambitions cautiously. It's important to tread your way between conflicting opinions during negotiations. This means you should handle conflicting views carefully during discussions. The next phrase is through thick and thin. Through thick and thin means to support someone or something no matter the difficulties. She has stood by her friend through thick and thin. This means she has supported her friend during both good times and bad. They promised to stay together through thick and thin no matter what happens. This means they committed to supporting each other through all situations, good or bad. His loyalty to the company has lasted through thick and thin. This means he has remained devoted to the company despite challenges over time. The next phrase is throw caution to the wind. Throw caution to the wind means to take a risk without worrying about the possible consequences. He decided to throw caution to the wind and start his own business. This means he chose to take a risky step and start a business despite the risks. She threw caution to the wind and went on an adventure abroad. This means she took a bold risk and traveled to a foreign country without hesitation. Sometimes you need to throw caution to the wind to achieve your dreams. This means taking risks can be necessary to reach your goals. The next phrase is throw in the towel. Throw in the towel means to give up or quit, usually because something is too difficult. After several failed attempts, he decided to throw in the towel. This means he chose to quit because he could not succeed. She didn't throw in the towel despite the challenges. She kept going. This means she didn't give up even though things were difficult. Sometimes it's okay to throw in the towel and try something new. This means it's sometimes necessary to quit something and start over. The next phrase is throw somebody in at the deep end. Throw somebody in at the deep end means to put someone in a situation where they have to deal with something difficult without preparation. Starting his new job, they threw him in at the deep end with a major project. This means he was given a challenging task without any preparation. She was thrown in at the deep end when asked to lead the team on her first day. This means she was given a leadership role immediately, without prior experience. It's not fair to throw someone in at the deep end without proper training. This means it's not right to give someone a tough responsibility without the right preparation. The next phrase is throw something around. Throw something around means to casually or carelessly discuss or suggest something. They were throwing ideas around during the meeting, but didn't make any decisions. This means they were discussing ideas loosely without making any concrete choices. He threw the possibility of a vacation around, but didn't make any plans. This means he casually mentioned the idea of a vacation without taking further action. Stop throwing such serious topics around without considering the consequences. This means don't discuss serious matters carelessly without thinking about the impact. The next phrase is throw something down. Throw something down means to put something down quickly or forcefully. He threw his keys down on the table when he came home. This means he placed his keys on the table quickly as he arrived. She threw her phone down in frustration after the call ended. This means she placed her phone on the surface quickly because she was upset. He threw down his bag and immediately started working. This means he put his bag down forcefully and began working right away. The next phrase is throw something on. Throw something on means to put something on quickly, usually clothing or an item. She threw on a jacket before leaving the house. This means she quickly put on a jacket before heading out. He threw his shoes on and rushed to the meeting. This means he quickly put on his shoes and hurried to the meeting. I didn't have time to change, so I just threw something on. This means I quickly put on any clothes without much thought. The next phrase is tie the knot. Tie the knot means to get married. They decided to tie the knot after 5 years of dating. This means they chose to get married after being together for 5 years. She's planning to tie the knot with her longtime boyfriend next summer. This means she is going to marry her boyfriend next summer. Many couples dream of tying the knot in a beautiful ceremony. This means many people hope to get married in a lovely wedding. The next phrase is tighten your belt. Tighten your belt means to reduce your spending or to make do with less. During the economic downturn, we had to tighten our belts. This means we had to cut back on expenses during the tough times. They had to tighten their belts after the company cut their salaries. This means they had to spend less money after their incomes were reduced. When money is tight, you need to tighten your belt and be more careful with spending. This means you need to be more cautious with money when financial resources are limited. The next phrase is time after time. Time after time means repeatedly or on many occasions. She helped him time after time without ever complaining. This means she assisted him many times without getting upset. Time after time, they proved that hard work leads to success. This means they repeatedly demonstrated that effort brings results. He's failed time after time, but he hasn't given up. This means he has failed many times, but he continues trying. The next phrase is tip something into something. Tip something into something means to pour or move something into another container. He tipped the flour into the mixing bowl. This means he poured the flour into the bowl. She tipped the coins into her purse. This means she poured the coins into her purse. Don't tip the water into that glass, it's already full. This means don't pour the water into the glass because it cannot hold more. The next phrase is tip something onto something. Tip something onto something means to pour or move something onto the surface of another thing. She tipped the sand onto the table to create a small art project. This means she poured sand onto the table for her project. He tipped the sugar onto the plate to measure it. This means he poured sugar onto the plate for measuring purposes. Be careful not to tip the soup onto your lap. This means be cautious not to spill the soup onto your lap. The next phrase is tip something out of something. Tip something out of something means to pour something out of a container. He tipped the water out of the bottle and into the glass. This means he poured the water from the bottle into the glass. She tipped the cookies out of the jar and onto the plate. This means she poured the cookies from the jar onto the plate. Please tip the remaining milk out of the carton before recycling it. This means pour the leftover milk out of the carton before you recycle it. The next phrase is to all intents and purposes. To all intents and purposes means in effect, or practically speaking, to all intents and purposes, the meeting was over. This means practically the meeting had finished, even if it wasn't formally ended. To all intents and purposes, they've already made their decision. This means in practice, they have already decided, even if it's not official yet. To all intents and purposes, he's the leader of the team. This means, in effect, he acts as the leader of the team, even if he isn't formally appointed. The next phrase is to death. To death means to an extreme degree, often in a negative or intense sense. She was scared to death during the storm. This means she was extremely frightened during the storm. He loves that movie to death. This means he loves that movie very much. The noise was so loud it drove me to death. This means the noise was unbearably loud. The next phrase is to go. To go refers to something that is prepared for taking away or something that is ready to leave. I'll have a coffee to go, please. This means I want my coffee prepared for takeout. The food was packed and ready to go. This means the food was prepared to be taken away. She's ready to go on vacation. This means she is prepared to leave for her vacation. The next phrase is to say nothing of something. To say nothing of something means not even mentioning something, especially because it's obvious or unimportant in comparison to the main point. The house was beautiful, to say nothing of the garden. This means the house was beautiful and the garden was even more impressive. He's an excellent teacher, to say nothing of his contributions to the community. This means he's a great teacher and his community work is even more noteworthy. They gave us free tickets, to say nothing of the free food. This means they gave us free tickets and even more, they gave us free food. The next phrase is to somebody's credit. To somebody's credit means something is seen as a positive quality or achievement for that person. To her credit, she finished the project ahead of schedule. This means it's a positive thing that she completed the project early. To his credit, he admitted his mistake right away. This means it's a good thing that he immediately acknowledged his error. To their credit, they handled the situation with great professionalism. This means it's impressive how professionally they managed the situation. The next phrase is, to somebody's disappointment. To somebody's disappointment means that something happened that caused someone to feel let down or unhappy. To her disappointment, the concert was canceled. This means she was disappointed because the concert didn't happen. To his disappointment, he didn't get the promotion. This means he was unhappy because he wasn't promoted. To their disappointment, the trip was shorter than expected. This means they were let down because the trip didn't last as long as they hoped. The next phrase is, to somebody's relief. To somebody's relief means that something happened which caused someone to feel less worried or anxious. To her relief, the test results were negative. This means she was relieved because the test results showed no problem. To his relief, the flight was not delayed. This means he was relieved because the flight left on time. To their relief, the missing child was found safe. This means they were relieved because the child was safe after being lost. The next phrase is, to somebody's surprise. To somebody's surprise means that something happened which was unexpected or shocking to that person. To her surprise, the meeting was postponed. This means she was surprised because the meeting didn't happen as planned. To his surprise, he passed the exam. This means he didn't expect to pass, but he did. To their surprise, the project was completed ahead of time. This means they didn't expect the project to finish early, but it did. The next phrase is, to somebody's satisfaction. To somebody's satisfaction means in a way that makes that person feel pleased or content. The work was completed to her satisfaction. This means she was pleased with how the work was done. To his satisfaction, the car was repaired properly. This means he was happy with the way the car was fixed. The solution worked to their satisfaction. This means they were pleased with how the solution turned out. The next phrase is, to speak highly of somebody or something. To speak highly of somebody or something means to praise or compliment that person or thing. She always speaks highly of her colleagues. This means she praises or talks positively about her coworkers. He spoke highly of the new restaurant. This means he gave a positive review of the new restaurant. They spoke highly of her contributions to the project. This means they praised her work on the project. The next phrase is, to the point. To the point means directly related to the main topic or issue, without unnecessary details. Her explanation was clear and to the point. This means her explanation was direct and focused on the main matter. Please keep your answers to the point. This means please answer directly and avoid unnecessary details. The meeting was short and to the point. This means the meeting was focused and didn't waste time. The next phrase is, to the bitter end. To the bitter end means continuing something until it is finished, even if it is difficult or unpleasant. He worked on the project to the bitter end. This means he kept working on the project until it was completely finished, no matter the challenges. They stayed at the party to the bitter end. This means they stayed at the party until it was over, despite being tired. She supported the team to the bitter end. This means she continued supporting the team even when things were tough. The next phrase is, till the bitter end. Till the bitter end means the same as to the bitter end, continuing something until it is finished, no matter the difficulties. They fought till the bitter end. This means they kept fighting until it was over, even though it was hard. She stayed with her friends till the bitter end. This means she stayed by her friends through everything, no matter what happened. We'll keep working on this till the bitter end. This means we'll continue working on it until it's completely done, regardless of the challenges. The next phrase is until the bitter end. Until the bitter end means the same as to the bitter end, continuing something to its completion, no matter the difficulty. They defended their cause until the bitter end. This means they continued to defend their cause, no matter the obstacles. He worked until the bitter end to finish the task. This means he worked hard to finish the task, even though it was tough. She remained loyal to the team until the bitter end. This means she stayed loyal to the team even when things were difficult. The next phrase is toe the line. Toe the line means to follow the rules or obey orders. He always toes the line at work. This means he follows the rules and does what is expected at work. You need to toe the line if you want to succeed in this company. This means you need to follow the rules to be successful in the company. The soldiers were expected to toe the line during the ceremony. This means the soldiers had to follow strict rules during the ceremony. The next phrase is toss and turn. Toss and turn means to move around a lot in bed, especially because of discomfort or restlessness. She tossed and turned all night, unable to sleep. This means she kept moving in bed because she couldn't fall asleep. He was tossing and turning, worried about the exam. This means he couldn't sleep because he was anxious about the exam. I tossed and turned, thinking about the meeting tomorrow. This means I couldn't sleep because I was thinking about the meeting. The next phrase is toss something away. Toss something away means to throw something out or discard it. She tossed away the old magazines. This means she threw the old magazines in the trash. Don't toss your old clothes away. We can donate them. This means don't throw away your old clothes. We can give them to charity. He tossed the broken phone away. This means he threw the phone away because it was no longer working. The next phrase is toss something into. Toss something into means to throw something into a place, often casually. He tossed his keys into the bowl on the table. This means he threw his keys into the bowl in a casual way. She tossed the letter into the mailbox. This means she threw the letter into the mailbox. They tossed their clothes into the laundry basket. This means they threw their clothes into the basket without folding them. The next phrase is toss something on. Toss something on means to put something on quickly or casually. He tossed on his jacket before running out the door. This means he quickly put on his jacket before leaving. She tossed on her shoes and left the house. This means she quickly put on her shoes and left. I tossed on a sweater because it was getting cold. This means I quickly put on a sweater because the temperature was dropping. The next phrase is touch and go. Touch and go means something that is uncertain or risky, especially when the outcome is unclear. The surgery was touch and go, but he survived. This means the surgery was uncertain, but he made it through. It was touch and go whether we would make it on time. This means it was uncertain if we would arrive on time. The weather was touch and go, so the event might be canceled. This means the weather was uncertain and the event might be called off. The next phrase is trail after. Trail after means to follow someone or something, usually with a sense of lagging behind. The dog trailed after its owner in the park. This means the dog followed its owner at a slower pace. She trailed after her friends, trying to keep up. This means she followed her friends but couldn't walk as fast. The kids trailed after their teacher on the field trip. This means the kids followed their teacher during the trip. The next phrase is trail behind. Trail behind means to follow someone or something at a slower pace or to be less successful or advanced. She trailed behind the group during the hike. This means she walked slower than the rest of the group on the hike. He always trails behind in class discussions. This means he is often less involved or slower to respond in class. The runner trailed behind the leader in the race. This means the runner was behind the leader and not in the first position. The next phrase is trail along. Trail along means to follow someone or something, often in a lazy or unenthusiastic way. She trailed along behind her friends, not really paying attention. This means she followed her friends without showing much interest. They trailed along the beach, talking and laughing. This means they walked along the beach slowly, chatting. He trailed along in the background during the meeting. This means he followed the conversation without participating actively. The next phrase is train of thought. Train of thought means the series of connected ideas or thoughts in your mind. I lost my train of thought during the meeting. This means I forgot what I was thinking or talking about. Her train of thought was interrupted by the loud noise. This means her thinking process was disturbed by the noise. I tried to get back on track with my train of thought. This means I tried to refocus or continue my thinking process after being interrupted. The next phrase is trial and error. Trial and error means a method of solving problems by trying different methods and learning from mistakes. He learned how to fix the car through trial and error. This means he figured out how to repair the car by trying different things. Learning to play the piano involves a lot of trial and error. This means playing the piano requires trying different approaches and learning from mistakes. Her experiment was based on trial and error to find the best solution. This means her experiment involved testing different methods until the right one was found. The next phrase is trudge along. Trudge along means to walk slowly and with effort, often because you are tired. He trudged along the path after a long day at work. This means he walked slowly and tiredly along the path. We had to trudge along through the deep snow to reach the cabin. This means we had to walk slowly and heavily through the snow. She trudged along the road, feeling exhausted after the hike. This means she walked slowly because she was tired after the hike. The next phrase is trudge through. Trudge through means to move slowly and with effort through something difficult or unpleasant. They trudged through the mud to get to the campsite. This means they walked slowly through the mud, struggling to move forward. She had to trudge through a long meeting at work. This means she had to endure a long and difficult meeting. He trudged through the thick forest, searching for the lost hikers. This means he walked slowly and with difficulty through the forest to find the hikers. The next phrase is trudge up. Trudge up means to walk slowly and with effort up a hill or incline. They trudged up the steep hill, exhausted from the climb. This means they walked slowly and tiredly up the hill. I had to trudge up the stairs after a long day at work. This means I walked slowly up the stairs because I was tired. He trudged up the mountain path, hoping to reach the top soon. This means he walked slowly up the mountain, trying to reach the peak. The next phrase is turn of events. Turn of events refers to a change in the situation or course of events, often unexpected. The sudden turn of events surprised everyone at the party. This means something unexpected happened at the party, changing the situation. The turn of events during the meeting left us all in shock. This means something happened in the meeting that caused surprise. It was a dramatic turn of events when they announced the winner. This means the announcement of the winner changed the situation dramatically. The next phrase is turn over a new leaf. Turn over a new leaf means to make a fresh start, to change your behavior for the better. After the accident, he decided to turn over a new leaf and start living more healthily. This means he decided to change his habits and adopt a healthier lifestyle. She promised to turn over a new leaf after the tough year she had. This means she vowed to change her behavior and improve her life. He's really turned over a new leaf after joining the fitness program. This means he has made significant positive changes in his life. The next phrase is turn your back on somebody or something. Turn your back on somebody or something means to ignore, abandon, or reject someone or something. She turned her back on her old friends after the argument. This means she stopped associating with her old friends. He turned his back on his dream job to pursue a different career. This means he rejected or abandoned the idea of working in his dream job. The company turned its back on the project after it failed. This means the company abandoned or gave up on the project. The next phrase is turn your nose up at something. Turn your nose up at something means to show disdain or disapproval of something, often because you consider it inferior. She turned her nose up at the idea of going to the beach. This means she showed disapproval or lack of interest in going to the beach. He turned his nose up at the food because it wasn't what he expected. This means he refused to eat the food because he didn't like it. They turned their noses up at the cheap hotel and insisted on a 5-star one. This means they rejected the cheap hotel in favor of a more expensive one. The next phrase is under your breath. Under your breath means to speak very quietly, often so that others cannot hear. He muttered something under his breath about the situation. This means he spoke very quietly, probably in frustration or annoyance. She said the words under her breath so no one would hear. This means she whispered something quietly so others couldn't hear. He was grumbling under his breath as he walked away. This means he was complaining quietly as he left. The next phrase is under your nose. Under your nose means something happening right in front of you, often without your noticing or realizing it. The thief took the wallet right under his nose. This means the thief stole the wallet while he was right there, but he didn't notice. She hid the surprise party plans right under their noses. This means she kept the party plans secret, even though they were around. The answer was under their noses the entire time. This means the solution was obvious, but they didn't realize it. The next phrase is undertake to do something. Undertake to do something means to commit or promise to do something. He undertook to finish the project by the end of the week. This means he promised or agreed to complete the project in that time frame. She undertook to help him with his homework every day. This means she made a commitment to assist him with his homework. The company undertook to provide all the necessary training for the new employees. This means the company committed to offering training to the employees. The next phrase is unsure of yourself. Unsure of yourself means lacking confidence or feeling uncertain about your abilities. He was unsure of himself when it came to speaking in public. This means he lacked confidence in his public speaking skills. She felt unsure of herself before the job interview. This means she was uncertain and lacked self-confidence before the interview. Being unsure of yourself can make decision-making more difficult. This means lacking confidence can make it harder to make choices. The next phrase is unusually for somebody. Unusually for somebody means something that is not typical for that person. Unusually for him, he arrived early to the meeting. This means it's uncommon for him to be early, but he was this time. Unusually for her, she decided to stay home instead of going out. This means it's not typical for her to stay home, but she chose to. Unusually for them, they didn't argue during dinner. This means it's rare for them to avoid arguing, but they did this time. The next phrase is upwards of something. Upwards of something means more than a certain amount or number. The concert sold upwards of 10,000 tickets. This means the concert sold more than 10,000 tickets. The project will cost upwards of $50,000 to complete. This means the project will cost more than $50,000. They expect upwards of 200 people to attend the event. This means they expect more than 200 people to attend. The next phrase is vanish into thin air. Vanish into thin air means to disappear completely and without a trace. The missing documents seemed to vanish into thin air. This means the documents disappeared without any sign of where they went. The magician made the rabbit vanish into thin air. This means the magician made the rabbit disappear as if by magic. After the storm, the clouds vanished into thin air. This means the clouds disappeared quickly and completely. The next phrase is vent your anger. Vent your anger means to express your anger or frustration openly. She needed to vent her anger after the frustrating meeting. This means she needed to express her frustration after the meeting. He vented his anger by shouting at the TV. This means he expressed his anger by yelling at the television. It's important to vent your anger in a healthy way rather than bottling it up. This means expressing your anger constructively is better than keeping it inside. The next phrase is vent your frustration. Vent your frustration means to express your frustration or annoyance. He vented his frustration by writing in his journal. This means he expressed his frustration privately through writing. She vented her frustration at the slow service in the restaurant. This means she openly expressed her irritation about the slow service. Sometimes it's helpful to vent your frustration to a friend. This means sharing your frustrations with someone can help alleviate them. The next phrase is venture into. Venture into means to explore or take a risk in a new area or situation. They decided to venture into the forest despite the warnings. This means they took the risk of exploring the forest, even though it might be dangerous. She ventured into the world of online business and found success. This means she took the risk of starting an online business. He ventured into the unknown with his new job in a foreign country. This means he took the risk of starting a job in a foreign place. The next phrase is venture out. Venture out means to leave a safe or familiar place, often to take a risk. After being inside all day, he decided to venture out for a walk. This means he left his house for a walk after staying indoors for a while. They ventured out into the storm to help the stranded passengers. This means they went out into the storm, even though it was risky. You shouldn't venture out alone at night in this area. This means it's not safe to go out alone at night in this area. The next phrase is venture outside. Venture outside means to leave an indoor space and go into the outside environment, usually with some risk. She was too tired to venture outside for fresh air. This means she didn't feel like going outside for fresh air because she was tired. We decided to venture outside to enjoy the sunshine. This means we chose to go outside because the weather was nice. He didn't want to venture outside in the rain without an umbrella. This means he didn't want to go outside in the rain without protection. The next phrase is wear thin. Wear thin means to lose patience or effectiveness after continued use. His patience began to wear thin after the constant interruptions. This means he was getting less patient after being interrupted repeatedly. The soles of my shoes are starting to wear thin. This means the shoes are becoming worn out after much use. Her excuse for being late is wearing thin with her boss. This means her excuse is no longer convincing or acceptable to her boss. The next phrase is weary of something. Weary of something means to become tired or bored of something after prolonged involvement. He was weary of the long meetings and wanted a break. This means he was tired of the long meetings and needed rest. She grew weary of the same routine every day. This means she became tired or bored of doing the same things daily. I'm starting to get weary of hearing the same complaints. This means I'm getting tired of listening to the same complaints over and over. The next phrase is weary of somebody. Weary of somebody means to become tired or frustrated with someone, often due to their behavior. She was growing weary of her colleague's constant negativity. This means she was becoming tired of her colleague's negative attitude. He was weary of his friend always asking for favors. This means he was frustrated with his friend's constant demands. She became weary of her neighbor's loud music at night. This means she was tired of her neighbor's noisy behavior. The next phrase is what with. What with means because of or due to, often used when listing reasons for something. What with the traffic and the rain, I was late to the meeting. This means I was late to the meeting because of the traffic and rain. What with all the stress at work, she decided to take a vacation. This means she decided to take a break due to the stress from her job. What with the long hours and the heavy workload, he was exhausted. This means he was tired because of the long work hours and the demanding tasks. The next phrase is what became of somebody or something. What became of somebody or something means asking what happened to someone or something after a certain time or event. I haven't heard from John in years. I wonder what became of him. This means I'm curious about what happened to John after all this time. What became of the old factory that was shut down? This means asking what happened to the factory after it was closed. Does anyone know what became of the missing report? This means asking what happened to the report that is now lost or missing. The next phrase is whatever became of somebody or something. Whatever became of somebody or something is used to express curiosity about what happened to someone or something, especially after a long time. Whatever became of your old car? This means you're wondering what happened to the old car. I haven't heard from her in ages. Whatever became of her? This means you're curious about what happened to her after such a long time. Whatever became of that idea we had last year? This means you're asking what happened to that idea that was discussed previously. The next phrase is where somebody stands on something. Where somebody stands on something refers to their position, opinion, or attitude toward a certain issue or topic. I don't know where John stands on the new policy. This means you're unsure of John's opinion about the new policy. Can you tell me where you stand on the proposal? This means asking for someone's opinion on the proposal. It's important to know where she stands before we proceed. This means it's important to understand her opinion before moving forward. The next phrase is where you stand with somebody. Where you stand with somebody refers to your current relationship or position with someone, especially in terms of agreement or approval. I need to find out where I stand with my boss before asking for a raise. This means you need to understand your relationship or position with your boss regarding a raise. Do you know where you stand with her after the argument? This means asking about your relationship or situation with her after the argument. After the misunderstanding, I'm not sure where I stand with him anymore. This means you're unsure about your relationship with him after the misunderstanding. The next phrase is, who would have thought? Who would have thought? Strat is used to express surprise or disbelief about something that happened, often with an unexpected outcome. Who would have thought he'd become such a successful entrepreneur? This means you're surprised that he became a successful entrepreneur. Who would have thought the weather would change so quickly? This means you're surprised that the weather changed unexpectedly. Who would have thought we'd run into each other here? This means you're surprised by the unexpected meeting. The next phrase is wield influence. Wield influence means to have or exercise power or control over others, especially in decisions or actions. She wields a great deal of influence in the company. This means she has a lot of power or control in the company. Politicians wield influence over public opinion through the media. This means politicians use their power to shape how people think through the media. He's known to wield influence in local politics. This means he has power or control over political matters in his area. The next phrase is wield power. Wield power means to use or control authority, influence, or control over others. The CEO wields power over the company's decisions. This means the CEO has control over the decisions in the company. Some world leaders wield power over entire countries. This means some leaders control and influence the affairs of entire nations. She knows how to wield power effectively in negotiations. This means she can use her power wisely and effectively during negotiations. The next phrase is with bated breath. With bated breath means to wait for something with great anticipation or anxiety. The audience waited with bated breath for the winner to be announced. This means the audience eagerly awaited the announcement of the winner. She watched with bated breath as her team played the final game. This means she watched with great anticipation and nervousness. He waited with bated breath for the results of the interview. This means he was anxiously waiting to hear the results of his interview. The next phrase is with the compliments of somebody. With the compliments of somebody means that something is being given or offered as a gesture of goodwill, often for free, or as a polite gesture. The meal was served with the compliments of the chef. This means the chef offered the meal as a gesture of goodwill. Your drinks are on the house with the compliments of the manager. This means the manager is offering the drinks for free as a gesture of kindness. The gift was given with the compliments of the company. This means the company offered the gift as a friendly gesture. The next phrase is with your bare hands. With your bare hands means to do something without the use of any tools or equipment, just using your hands. He caught the fish with his bare hands. This means he caught the fish without any tools, just using his hands. She built the shelter with her bare hands. This means she constructed the shelter using only her hands. They fought with their bare hands, no weapons. This means they fought using only their hands without any weapons. The next phrase is within somebody's reach. Within somebody's reach means something is physically or metaphorically close enough for someone to get, attain, or achieve. The book is within my reach on the shelf. This means the book is close enough for me to grab from the shelf. The job offer was within her reach, but she turned it down. This means the job opportunity was achievable for her, but she chose not to take it. The goal of success is within your reach if you keep working hard. This means success is achievable for you if you keep making effort. The next phrase is within limits. Within limits means staying inside a set boundary or restriction, whether physical, moral, or situational. The project was completed within limits, staying on budget. This means the project was completed without exceeding the allocated budget. You can express your opinions, but only within limits. This means you can express your views, but there are boundaries or restrictions on what you can say. The workers operated within limits to ensure safety. This means the workers followed rules and boundaries for safety reasons. The next phrase is within reason. Within reason means something is acceptable as long as it is sensible or logical. You can borrow my car, but only within reason. This means you can borrow the car, but there are sensible limits. We can make changes to the plan, but only within reason. This means changes are allowed as long as they make sense. The manager allowed them to work flexible hours within reason. This means the manager allowed flexible hours as long as it was reasonable. The next phrase is word for word. Word for word means to repeat something exactly as it was said or written without any changes or paraphrasing. She repeated the instructions word for word. This means she said the instructions exactly as they were given. The lawyer quoted the contract word for word. This means the lawyer repeated the contract exactly as it was written. He transcribed the speech word for word. This means he wrote the speech exactly as it was spoken. The next phrase is worthy of attention. Worthy of attention means something is important, valuable, or deserving of focus or consideration. Her research is worthy of attention for its groundbreaking insights. This means her research is valuable and should be focused on. The issue of climate change is certainly worthy of attention. This means the climate change issue is important and should be taken seriously. This book is worthy of attention if you are interested in philosophy. This means the book has value and is worth considering if you are into philosophy. The next phrase is worthy of notice. Worthy of notice means something that is important or significant enough to be acknowledged or paid attention to. His contribution to the project is certainly worthy of notice. This means his contribution is significant enough to be recognized. The article is worthy of notice for its thorough analysis. This means the article should be acknowledged because of its detailed examination. The event was worthy of notice due to its historical importance. This means the event was important enough to be noted because of its historical significance. The next phrase is would sooner. Would sooner means to prefer doing one thing over another, often used in the negative form. I would sooner go for a walk than stay inside all day. This means I prefer going for a walk over staying indoors. She would sooner not speak to him after what happened. This means she prefers not to speak to him due to the situation. They would sooner cancel the event than risk further problems. This means they prefer canceling the event to facing more issues. The next phrase is, wouldn't dream of doing something. Wouldn't dream of doing something means to never consider doing something, often because it is highly undesirable or inappropriate. I wouldn't dream of lying to my friends. This means I would never consider lying to my friends. She wouldn't dream of quitting her job without a backup plan. This means she would never think about quitting her job without securing another one first. He wouldn't dream of breaking the rules. This means he would never consider breaking the rules. The next phrase is yearn for something. Yearn to do something. Yearn for something or yearn to do something means to have a strong desire or longing for something or to do something. She yearned for a quiet life away from the city. This means she strongly desired a peaceful life away from the busy city. He yearns to travel the world and experience different cultures. This means he has a strong desire to travel and see the world. They yearn for the freedom to express themselves without judgment. This means they long for the ability to freely express themselves. The next phrase is yet another. Yet another means an additional one, often used when something has already happened many times before or is considered excessive. Here's yet another report on the same issue. This means there is one more report, often implying it is repetitive. They received yet another complaint about their service. This means they got one more complaint, possibly indicating a pattern. He bought yet another new gadget, even though he already has many. This means he purchased one more gadget, suggesting he may have too many already. The next phrase is yet more. Yet more means additional or even more, often used when there seems to be no end to something. The storm brought yet more damage to the area. This means the storm caused even more damage than before. There were yet more obstacles to overcome before finishing the project. This means there were additional challenges to deal with. She received yet more praise for her excellent work. This means she received even more praise, perhaps after already getting some. The next phrase is, you can't beat something. You can't beat something means that something is the best or cannot be surpassed. This homemade cake is amazing. You can't beat it. This means the cake is so good that nothing can compare to it. You can't beat a good cup of coffee in the morning. This means having a great cup of coffee in the morning is unmatched. When it comes to customer service, this company really knows how to deliver. You can't beat them. This means the company provides the best service, and nothing can top it. The next phrase is you have to hand it to somebody. You have to hand it to somebody means to acknowledge someone's ability or achievement, often in a respectful or admiring way. You have to hand it to him. You have to hand it to him. He really knows how to solve problems. This means you have to acknowledge his skill in solving problems. She really knows how to organize an event. You have to hand it to her. This means she deserves recognition for her event organization skills. You have to hand it to them. They turn the situation around. This means you have to give them credit for improving the situation. The next phrase is you name it. You name it means anything you want or can think of, often used to emphasize the variety or extent of something. They have all kinds of food here: pizzas, pastas, burgers, you name it. This means they offer a wide variety of foods, and anything you can think of is available. We offer all types of services: web design, marketing, branding, you name it. This means we provide many services, including all the things you could think of. He can do anything: play instruments, paint, cook, you name it. This means he is capable of doing a wide range of activities or tasks. The next phrase is your share of something. Your fair share of something means the portion of something that is considered appropriate or equal, often used when it seems like someone has received more than expected. She has had her fair share of difficulties in life. This means she has experienced a lot of challenges. You've had your share of success in this field. This means you've had your fair amount of success. Everyone gets their share of responsibilities in the team. This means each person in the team has an equal portion of tasks. The next phrase is your best bet. Your best bet means the most effective or reliable option or choice. If you want to get fit, your best bet is to join a gym and follow a proper diet. This means joining a gym and eating healthily is the most effective way. In this situation, your best bet is to speak with the manager. This means speaking with the manager is the most reliable option. If you're looking for a good deal, your best bet is to shop during sales. This means shopping during sales is the best way to find good deals. The next phrase is your elders. Your elders refers to older people, typically those with more life experience, and is often used to show respect. You should always listen to your elders for their wisdom. This means it's important to pay attention to the advice and experience of older people. Respecting your elders is an important part of many cultures. This means showing respect to older individuals is a key cultural value. It's wise to seek advice from your elders when making important decisions. This means seeking advice from older people who likely have more experience is a good practice. The next phrase is your own flesh and blood. Your own flesh and blood refers to a family member, typically someone you are related to by birth. Even though they had a disagreement, he still cares deeply for his own flesh and blood. This means despite their conflict, he still cares for his family member. You should never turn your back on your own flesh and blood. This means you should always support your family, no matter what. She was willing to do anything for her own flesh and blood. This means she was ready to do anything for her family members. The next phrase is your take on something. Your take on something means your perspective or opinion about something. What's your take on the new policy at work? This means what do you think about the new policy at work? I'd like to hear your take on the latest news. This means I want to know your opinion or perspective on the recent news. His take on the movie was that it was too predictable. This means his opinion about the movie was that it lacked surprise or originality. The next phrase is insofar as. Insofar as means to the extent that, or within the limits of a particular situation or subject. Insofar as I know, the meeting has been postponed. This means to the extent that I know, the meeting is now scheduled for a later time. His argument holds weight insofar as it is based on actual data. This means his argument is valid, but only as far as the data supports it. Insofar as the law allows, we can make changes to the contract. This means we can alter the contract within the limits of what the law permits. The next phrase is up to speed. Up to speed means being informed or having the necessary knowledge to be fully involved in something. She's finally up to speed with the latest project updates. This means she is now fully informed about the current status of the project. You need to get up to speed on the new software before the meeting. This means you should learn how to use the new software before the meeting. It took a while, but now he's up to speed with the team's goals. This means now he understands the team's objectives completely. The next phrase is urge somebody to do something. Urge somebody to do something means to strongly recommend or encourage someone to take a particular action. I urge you to reconsider your decision. It might not be the best choice. This means I strongly encourage you to think twice about your decision. The doctor urged her to start exercising more regularly. This means the doctor strongly advised her to begin a consistent exercise routine. They urged the government to act immediately to address the crisis. This means they strongly encouraged the government to take swift action. The next phrase is vice versa. Vice versa means the reverse of what was just stated, or the opposite situation. She helps me with my work and vice versa. This means she assists me and I help her in return. The teacher helps the students and vice versa. Students help the teacher by following instructions. This means both the teacher and students assist each other in different ways. The company provides good benefits to its employees and vice versa. Employees work hard. This means both the company gives good benefits and employees contribute through their hard work. The next phrase is wait and see. Wait and see means to be patient and wait for the situation to develop before making a decision or judgment. We'll just have to wait and see how the situation unfolds. This means we need to be patient and observe how things turn out. Let's wait and see if the weather improves before making a decision. This means we should hold off on deciding until we know if the weather gets better. He decided to wait and see if the new product would be successful. This means he chose to be patient and observe the outcome before forming an opinion.